Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, and today I have a special guest, probably my youngest guest, other than my daughter, which I'm gonna say doesn't count per se because she's in the household rather than an actual guest. But you guys wanted to see her, so I guess she does count. Anyway, today I have like I said, a young guy. I I'm very interested to hear how he got into collecting and at least doing what we're doing. So anyway, without further ado, I don't want to waste any more times. My special guest, action figure addict, Kyle. How are you doing? There's no sound. All right, Kyle. There's no sound, and you were working just fine.
Oh, I forgot. I wanted to mute my mic because I wasn't sure how it would interfere backstage, but
Nope, doesn't interfere
already.
at all. Just remember that if there's anything going backstage, nope, it doesn't interfere at all. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very excited
How's your
to
week been?
be on Thursday with a friend. It's been all right. We have Comic-Con this weekend, so we get to see all the stuff we're gonna buy
Wow, they've got a
within
lot of stuff too.
the between now and next year. So
Uh, so I'm just looking at your headline: the worst wrestling takes on YouTube. What the hell is that
yes.
about?
So I did it. So because of Legend series, I decided to put that in my title just to be a ball buster to Tony. So I've always had this on your set.
Well, see, I feel it's pretty fitting with the passing of the immortal Hulk Hogan today, which Jimmy Hart kind of feels stupid because he just posted something yesterday saying he's doing perfectly fine, and we just went out for karaoke, and then he
Oh, so was the karaoke that bad, or was it just a bad?
I will say I was kind of shocked. I mean, I heard he was doing bad like just the other day, but like that was it. Like haven't heard very much, haven't heard much else about that. Um, but hey, I guess like they say, none of us get out of this alive, right? So anyway, let's say hi to everyone quickly. We have Menhoza, we have Beardy McBeardison saying, hey punk, hey chat, hey Menhoza. We're the only ones here, but you're not anymore. And then we have this to Beardy McBeardison, member for 11 months. So you get a
Fucking Phil Collins.
Shout out to Phil
poor,
Collins.
poor Phil. U.S. Combat. Oh, U.S. Combat Dojo, 3-star draw. We have Tony's Figs. Derek Hoover has joined us. We have Bill Woo, which I feel like I've never seen you here before. I feel like I would remember that. So if you're new, thank you. If you've been here before, I apologize for not recognizing and remembering you. GI Bro, who has the best guns in the business. We have a Matthew coming in quickly with the and then we have Travis B74, who he says he's not a travesty. He says he's not one of the annoying Travises. I'm not sure if I believe that yet because I haven't met him in person. So that's still left up to discussion. Anyway.
Wow, that was fast. You got the roll call pretty fast.
There's only a few. I mean, there really isn't that many people in right now. That's what drives me nuts when they do Circle of Jerks and Spec or Tony or Baldy are doing it. They're so slow. They're like going. I'm like, man, you got to just fucking get right through them, man.
Yeah.
Like, get through everyone. Like nobody at the beginning is really looking to have you say what they posted. They're usually just saying hi to each other or say hi to you. You just kind of want to run through everyone.
Yeah,
And
because
the
then you
Circle of
fall
Jerks,
behind in the chat.
yeah, and the Circle of Jerks have gotten. We're getting, right off the bat, 50 to 60 to 70 people right away. So you get all those people, you can't have a conversation with each and every single one of them. So uh Travis is saying, you're funny. Hey, we all know a Travis, and we're starting to think it has something to do with the name. Because I used to work with a Travis I can't stand the guy. And all the bad that happens to him, I'm perfectly fine with it. Uh, and then Jay Astro jumping in quickly. Now, of course, I look like I'm getting all kind of staticky here, which is crazy because everything was perfectly fine before we started, right? Anyway, let's quickly ask
Oh,
Action Figure Addict 112. Where does the name come from?
oh man, so interesting. So back when I first started watching collectors on YouTube, um, I would say one of my two inspirations for even getting into YouTube and doing this whole thing, um, was one of his friends was Bad Karma 702, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. What is the 702? And so I ended up finding out the 702 was the initials of his birthday. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder how that would work if I put that in my name. Maybe it'll catch on. Or so I put in 112. So the 11 is the month of my birthday, and then the day is the 2. But I think it also works because now 112 stands for 112. So 112 scale is kind of what I collect now. I got out of 118 scale.
Can I also get your last four of your social security and your mother's maiden name?
That one, unless you
So,
work for the IRS, then maybe. But
so what about Action Figure Addict?
oh man, I don't know exactly. I can't even remember how I came up with it. I guess it just magically happened that I
It's
just
something you had and you just kept in
yeah.
no specific reason. Okay, well, whatever works for you. I mean, there are a lot of action figure or stuff like that, but yours seem. I mean,
Yeah.
you go by Alpha too, so it it,
Yeah.
it fits because once you break down, you know, it's like attack them. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been watching Circle of Jerks, but
Yeah,
so
Toy Kind of
action
Moon.
figure media, yeah, he likes to say attack them, which it makes me laugh every time he says it, because he's very aggressive about it too. All right, so do you mind me asking how old you are and what year you were born?
Sure. So I'll be 26 in November this year, and 1999 was the year I was born. Election day
99.
of 99 to be exact.
Wow. So, other than my daughter, you are the youngest that I've had on here. I know Rowdy comes in and she's like, I'm always the youngest. And anytime you're in, you're like, no, I'm younger.
Yeah. She tries to play the youngest card, but now she can't. She can't play the card anymore. I'm sorry, Rowdy. I'm sorry. I took that
No,
card
she's
from
not
you.
even close, right? She's not even close. Um, I mean, 20. I mean, I have a daughter that's older than you. So, all right. So, as a kid, what was your childhood like with your parents? Were they together? Did you have siblings?
So I have a sibling. Her and I are over either 10 or 11 years apart.
Oh, okay.
So she only really collected like the collectible Barbies, and she still
Okay.
has them. They're in like a display case. But besides that, I mean, I was the only one that had toys as a kid.
Now, is she 10 years
Um,
older than you or younger? I'm assuming older.
Older. She's the older sibling out of us.
And so, when you said out of us, was there another one?
No, just between
Or is
her
there
and
the
I.
two of you? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, did you leave one out?
No, no, no.
um, so, you no built-in play friends. Now, is she a half sister, or did your parents just were you an oops baby? That sounds awful,
uh,
but
no, she's my blood sibling. So
was that half siblings are still blood siblings? They're just only half blood. So again, were you an oops baby, or did your parents say like 10 years later they were like, you know what we really miss? Diapers.
I mean, I've been told I was an oops baby, but and I've also
There's
been
not,
told I wasn't. So it's like a half and half kind of thing.
there's
So
nothing
maybe
wrong
I
with
wasn't oops. Maybe I wasn't oops baby, but they felt bad and were like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't tell him that. Maybe he'll feel bad." So we'll just tell him
it.
he
Okay,
wasn't.
so from my experience, that type of stuff usually comes from the mom. Like my ex would get mad at me when I would make jokes about like, well, we don't know that these are mine yet, or until the and she'd get all mad. And my Olivia would laugh about it, even when she was younger, she'd laugh about it. And then I mean, I'd have her. She's like, that really bothers her. I'm like, really? Because when I ask her about it, she just laughs, and because she knows that it's not true. I mean, again, you don't go through as much bullshit as I went through in a custody battle if you don't think the kid is yours. Both of them. Like you don't go through all that. So it's like,
Yeah,
calm down. I
but
think,
it's like a little dark humor. Nothing wrong with that.
and the funny thing was, her brother that passed away, he did the same thing to his kids all the time. And she never cared. Like she laughed about that. Like that was funny. But when I said it, it was like this bad thing. Like, you know what? Whatever. So being an oops baby. I'm sorry, we're going with you an oops baby. All right. If you're
It's
if
all
you're
right.
if your
We'll roll
parents
with it.
had if your parents had 5 kids in between, then you just say, hey, you know what? They were just a glutton for punishment. I don't think anyone that has been together with someone for so long says like 10 years later, they're like, you know what? I really miss paying for diapers. Ed can probably confirm that as he's the Toy Elite Network and Action Fake. Here I am again. So, um, as an oops baby. So, what are your first memories of like playing with toys? And I don't mean like what you like fell in love with playing, but
Right.
you must have been at an era where just there were major hand me downs.
Um, no, I think Rescue Heroes. I remember I had Rescue Heroes
Ooh.
as a kid. And then my grandma was the one that liked to spoil me. So I had some of the '03 Ninja Turtles when those came out from Playmates.
Okay.
So I remember I had those at least.
So I dated a girl before, my kid's mother, and that her little boy was majorly into Rescue Heroes. There was so much stuff in the Rescue Heroes. They were a lot of fun, and they were really good for kids because big feet. You didn't have to worry about trying to figure out how to stand them. And
Mhm.
again, watching a kid get frustrated trying to stand something is isn't comical. Like you would think that it would be funny, but it is not because you can see
Right.
the stress on like a
Right.
5-year-old's face, and then you can see the anger buildups. We got Nolan jumping in here as making us Toy Tube official, and then we have Cobra Emperor, and that's all you get out of me because I've told you to shorten that name numerous times. Saying Battlestar Galactica,
Wha-
they made the Viper and some figures 6 and 4 inch. Well, we're not here to talk about that today, but I did see them, and I think they look pretty awesome. Um, and I could see they actually did both versions of Battlestar Galactica, so I am excited about that. Though I didn't even see who did it, but I just saw the pictures come across. All right, so you remember your Rescue Heroes?
Mhm.
What was the first toys you remember falling in love with? Do you remember? You better because you're
Um,
way younger than us.
oh man. Yeah, so Mattel had a line of Hot Wheels that they had done like an animated movie on, and I remember I had those as a kid, which I wish I still had those because now they're worth a shitload of money, and I didn't realize that. So now I know what you guys feel like when you wish you guys still had all your toys from when you were a kid that are now worth a lot of money.
So they did an animated series.
Yeah. So it was called Hot Wheels World Race, I think. Yeah, that's what it was called. And they had them in KB Toys, they had them in Kmart, Toys R Us had them, and they came in what looked like a nitrous oxide bottle or like canister that you
Yeah.
would put in the car, and it had the car like kind of looked like it was floating in there. So
Wow.
I had a couple of those.
I don't. That doesn't even ring a bell.
If
But
you if you get a chance to look them up, they're pretty cool, but they have, for some reason, they have shot up in price, and I don't understand why.
yeah, especially considering that they're Hot Wheels, and God knows, I mean, there are thousands upon thousands of Hot Wheels. Maybe next time I see a grown man on the floor at Walmart pulling down the Hot
Or
Wheels, I'll
Target,
ask him.
they lurk in Target too. They
Yeah,
will
I don't
bust down the
normally see
doors
them.
of Target.
I normally don't see them at Target. Uh, Walmart seems more maybe because they open earlier and there's not as many people out that early. But I think we've all seen them. Like I don't see them very often. Again, I also don't go. I don't go hunting nearly as much anymore. Other than when I
Oh,
know, like,
I have seen them. I
oh, I
have
know they
seen
still
them.
exist because the one lady at Target was actually telling me when she's like, "Oh, we can't go in the back," and then I was like, "Okay, no problem," And she's like, "Hey, hold on," like she's like seeking me out, and she's like, "Hold on, let me go," and she went and found like 3 of the GI Joes, but she was talking to me, and I'm like, "No, I fully understand if you can't do it. I mean, it's like you have a job to do, you have other things to worry about," and she was like, "It's the Hot Wheel collectors; they are the absolute worst." I'm like, "Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I do know how bad they are, and they are awful."
Yeah,
Um,
when it gets around like Christmas time and they put out those giant bins and they fill them with Hot Wheel cars, I have seen collectors go like this, like they're human scoopers, and they just scoop them into Walmart carts. And then once they're done, they'll either leave them there or they will scoop them back up and put them back in the bin. And I'm just like, that's a lot. You know what? I'm kind of glad I don't collect Hot Wheels. I'm good with
oh, I know.
figures. They go on pegs on the shelf. I can just skim through them. If they don't have what I need, then I just go on with the rest of my day.
Yeah,
But it
yeah. I
is
mean, it's
entertaining. It is entertaining to see people dig through a giant bin of Hot Wheels trying to find the treasure hunts and the super treasure hunts and
they
whatever
still do.
car is.
They still do treasure hunts. I've never
Yeah.
seen one. Like I've never
Yes.
found one in the wild. So when I was collecting all the time back in 90, 96, 97, during the whole Power of the Force thing, I was the Star Wars guy going there, and I remember there was multiple Hot Wheel guys, but there were 2 real nice Hot Wheel guys, right? They weren't those. One was big muscular firefighter, and then the other one was just your average Hot Wheel guy. I know that sounds bad, but you know exactly. And
Hmm.
super nice guys. And they told me, like, hey, this is what you look for. I've never found one. Admittedly, I also didn't spend a lot of time, looking for them, but they were the nice ones. And I remember, I'll never forget this. They were telling, there's just one guy that we knew he was a dealer. And they said, yeah, they said, um, I can't think of his name, but he had a bunch of Hot Wheels. This was the firefighter, big muscular guy, and he said the guy came over, he smacked his hand because he grabbed him and he
Wow.
ran up. This is at Toys R Us. He ran up to the front, and by the time they kind of like picked up everything else and got up there, they're like, dude, he knocked those out of my hands. He had already paid for them, and the cashier was like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. He's already paid for it. And I was just like, dude, that guy like took his life in his own hands by going for this
By
because
swiping a firefighter's stack of Hot Wheel
dude, if you
cars.
would have seen this guy, like he's the guy they go, you're January. All right, we're starting off big. Like you're January. And I'm like, such Jim, that was his name. Such a nice guy though. Such a nice guy. And then there was another Hot Wheel guy. Um, a nicer guy, and I was like, I haven't seen him in a while. And they go, well, he died. I went, what? He goes, dude, he dropped dead in an aisle. Like he was like he was leaving. He had a heart attack at Target in the aisle. Like, ooh, that's not good.
That is not good. Especially if it ended up being over Hot Wheel cars, that's definitely not the best way to
Yeah,
go
Quip
out.
says
Not
I've
over
had two
not
grown.
over a plastic car.
Yeah, Quip says I've had 2 grown men crowding my kid in the Hot Wheel aisle. Can't stand them. And Quip, we were talking. You're a big boy, man. I know you said you're a calm. You're a big boy, man. Like I can tell, and you seem very. Again, when I had Quip on, very kind. If someone would do that to my kid, I'm not a big boy, but I'm an angry person. Gun Bunny's jumping in there saying, good evening, everyone. All right. And then look, TD3 Trooper. I think I got it right. What's up, my dudes? All right. So Hot Wheels, what else did you like? What other toys as a kid did you? Because you're a completely different generation. Like
Right.
I talked to some guys that are like, 83, 84. I'm like, yep, Turtles out of my wheelhouse. You are way different. So not way different, but in a completely different tax bracket, we'll call it.
Oh man. I think I had tech decks as a kid too, because I remember when the tech deck craze came back.
You mean, it came back after?
Yeah. It's had a couple of resurgences. I'm actually quite surprised. Like I know when they first came out, when they were like the real wood boards, they weren't like the plastic.
And you put everything together, and it had they were actually shaped better. They were actually shaped better. I actually have one behind me. I have 2 different ones. I have like newer ones, and then I have like the older one, and the older one is actually shaped the way it's not too wide. I hate it. I hate the other ones. Actually, it might be the one. These, no. And I actually got that in Atlanta on the way back from Florida.
It's a random stop. It's like, oh, with tech deck board.
No. We stopped at not Play It Again. What's the one store in Atlanta? Not outside of Atlanta. Second Chance Toys. I want to make a stop there, and they had a Matt Hensley, but it's a black label, but it's the same as the Plan B one. So I was like, or the H Street one. I'm like, you know what? It's close enough. All right. So Tech Deck. I didn't have that on the bingo card. Did not have that on the bingo card at all. So did you have other action figures or what?
I think maybe I had a few of the O-ring Joes before I got into 25th anniversary.
But not like
it was
like
the chunkier, like the chunkier ones, like the G.I. Joe versus Cobra.
Yep.
Like those.
Hey,
I had a couple of those, and then I had those weird ones where they were like Lego. Like it was like a vehicle you had to build out of Lego.
Yep.
I
have the Rock and Roll, and he has like the Lego on his arm so you can put guns. He makes a little helicopter. It's really
it was an odd time. I was like, I mean, it's Lego. It's Lego. I don't know why he's built like this, but he's
I don't think it's not Lego though, is it?
No, but they kind of go together. Like
yeah, they work together. There's no doubt about that. Because all those blocks, other than Lock Block, if anyone remembers Lock Block, that's what my grandmother always got. They were like way bigger than Legos. I'm sorry, way bigger than Lego. I don't want to put that S on it. Like all the other blocks, they mix together, but Lock Block were these big blocks. Like they were for the idiot kids. Like you can't mess these ones up. Lego had like, it'd be like a 50-piece set. The Lock Block was like 25.
It was probably like half the price.
Oh, I'm sure.
More.
I'm sure. Well, my grandmother wasn't cheap, but I think she just saw it like I can buy more or whatever.
Yeah, it was probably a more quantity over quality.
But by that point, like you already have all of them. The last thing you'd want is probably the Lego to, because then it's like, well, this doesn't. I can't mix it with anything at your house. Um, so all right, so that's, it doesn't sound like you were into a lot of action figures, like throughout your elementary.
I mean, I don't know if you could really consider them action figures, but whenever Mega Bloks came out with the Halo line, when they were doing like the little Spartans and
Okay.
little enemies, they were kind of like action figures, but they had like the ball joints where you had to like pop them and
Yep.
put them together, and then they had the blind bags. But I would always cheat and I would feel the pieces. I still did that with the little like figures too, and then Lego decided that they wanted to go to those like regular cardboard boxes. So now you can't even do it anymore. You have to like, I guess, shake the pieces and figure
Well,
it out based off.
Lego used to have Bionicles, and I would consider those action figures.
Oh, I did have, well, no, they weren't Bionicles. They were Hero Factory, which were kind of, I guess, like not really Bionicle.
Were they Lego?
They
Or were they?
they had the plastic. They were like you pop the pieces together like Bionicle, but they weren't exactly Bionicle, but they
Okay.
kind of were, but Lego didn't consider them Bionicle.
But they were made by Lego.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Bionicle was its own little thing. And I thought they had something else similar to Bionicle. 'Cause they had a whole TV show and
Yeah, they had movies, they had video games for it.
yeah, I wonder if are they still around, Bionic? They still make those? Because they were in
I
like
know
they were in like
a couple of years ago
thermos.
they brought back Bionicle, and then I guess maybe it didn't sell as good as they were intending it to, and then they were
Okay.
just like, "Oh, we're just going to can it again."
And it probably went
You-
up in price, like everything in Lego. That's the
It
only
probably
thing.
it probably did.
Like when everyone says when they're trying to buy toys to invest, and I'm like, first off, it's a dumb thing, right?
Yeah.
Go invest in crypto. That's what I keep telling people. If you are gonna invest in toys, buy Lego
Yes.
because it never goes down in price. Now I know Matthew's gonna come in and say, no, this set went down, and we know Matthew, but
I'm looking at the chat to see if he comes in here. Actually,
but Lego
I'll
almost
have you
never
know.
goes down in price. It almost
No.
always goes up.
Mhm.
So I mean, even if you break even, as long as you're not, charging it and racking up interest charges, like that's the only one that you can buy and know that 2 or 3 years down the road, when they throw that one, not throw it away, but lock it in a vault,
Yeah.
that's going to go up. And the moment you put it on eBay, man, those things sell. Ooh,
Oh,
look at
see,
this,
there you go.
Matthew. Nope, never goes down. Confirmed. And again, like anything, everything can go down. But Lego is the one thing that, like those,
Yeah.
those collectors, like they don't go down. And God forbid you call it Legos, because
Mhm.
you want to see people get hot. Whew.
Yeah. You add the S, you hook the S onto it. Like, no,
Lego
it's
is plural.
It's plural. It's Lego. Look at the box. It says LEGO. I mean, I've never found why it had to be so serious. It's just like it's close enough. Like it's a close enough thing, but
Do a bunch of military toy reviews and refer to the magazines as clips, and see how long it takes
it seems
people. And some people will be very nice about it and they'll be like, hey, just so you know. Other people will say, yeah, you called it wrong. I don't really care. I knew what you were talking about. And then others will be really mad at you.
Oh yeah, the diehards will come out. They
You
will
know?
come out and they will tell you that it's not clips, they're
Yeah. And,
magazines.
I went and I watched a video on what the difference between a magazine and a clip art. And I went, okay, now that makes sense. Like, I understand. But again, I'm not reviewing a weapon compared to the real weapon. reviewing a toy and how it works and how it looks and everything. So for you to get that mad, and man, people get worked up over
Yeah,
it.
they do. Yes,
So,
they do.
but a lot of people get worked up on things
Mm-hmm.
behind a screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we see it all the time. So as you start to get a little bit older and you go into middle school, are you still playing with toys, or are you? Then again, the generations are so different because I
Yeah.
know I always say for us, I feel like we were all still playing with toys, but we all hid it. And come to find out 20, 25 years later, we were all still playing with toys, but we all thought that it was ridiculous to do it. So we hid it. So were you still playing with toys, actively buying stuff, or what?
Um, I feel like it might have been a case of I was starting to go into, well, people would consider it the dark
Yeah.
ages of collecting. Um, to where I wasn't playing with it. But I guess I was kind of collecting still like little bits, but I wasn't playing with that. I went into my dark ages and my my middle school era.
And if you were doing tech deck, I mean, that's just something you're just fidgeting. Like no
Yeah.
one, unless if you have a different deck every day, and people are like, "Wait a minute, how many of those things you got?"
I remember in elementary school, that's when the tech deck craze came back. And so if you didn't have a tech deck board, you weren't cool. And so I remember I went to Walgreens with my mom and I saw like a Tony Hawk Birdhouse skateboard and I was like, please, please. And so she bought it for me and I came to school the next day with this Tony Hawk Birdhouse and someone had they had like this huge ramp that they brought to class and we were just and people were just launching the skateboards off there. I was like, what are you doing? It's not a
I
Why
I
are you
used
evil
to.
Knieveling a skateboard?
So to this day, I still mess around just with my fingers. I don't do the tech deck thing, but I mess around. And I, in seventh grade, was sitting there with a pencil doing tricks. And I remember because in shop class, the shop teacher yelled at me to stop playing around because I didn't even realize I was doing it. I'm just fidgeting around, doing board slides. And again, this was well before tech deck. The only thing that we
Yeah.
had were these keychain cycle sticks that
Yeah.
were awful. There's no grip tape on them.
Yeah.
The way people made them work was they made their fingertips get sweaty, so they would kind of suction cup to
Oh
it.
yeah.
um, Karis Lupin says, "Have you seen the guys who do finger skateboarding professionally? They're pretty good at what they do. Entire skate park now. So Modern Skate, the park that I go to a lot, or at least I used to, they will hold events there, and they have. I mean, people like. I was looking at the stuff. It was obviously after the thing, but they had all the stuff, and I'm looking at some of the stuff like these are amazing dioramas, especially like the steps and the handrails.
Yeah.
But I'm that guy that I see these people lining up and they're doing these competitions with their fingerboards, and I'm like, go ride your fucking board. Go ride a real fucking like. And there's nothing worse than someone telling you, "Oh, I know all about skateboarding. I play Tony Hawk," and you're like, "Great."
But I'm wondering with the professional fingerboarders, do they make like the sound effects when they do like the grind rails? Do they like?
I know that
Because
my buddies do, and they like the ones that worked at Modern.
yeah.
I know they do. That's a real good question, but what's his face? Ewan McGregor. He told the story about, or was it Ewan McGregor or was it Hayden Christensen? One of them told a story about how like they kind of did a fight scene, and George Lucas was like, "That was awesome. Now let's do it again without you making the noise." Because it's so ingrained in us, man.
Yeah, because you're used to hearing it, and well, the boards, like I said, because they're plastic now, they don't I mean, they still have like the wax, or well, what's supposed to look like wax at the bottom.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to put them on the little grind reels, because they're plastics, you have to kind of
And
make the sound.
the fact that they're able to make them do tricks and everything is impressive. But it's like there's no risk for it, right? What's the worst?
Oh no, I sprained my finger.
And I'm sure that one of those guys would be like, dude, that's bullcrap, man. Because I've jammed my finger and be like, dude, really? Because go drop in on a mini ramp.
So do they get like a little ambulance to come out, and they like put their hands on a stretcher and they just kind of stretch them out if they
the
if
WWE
if they have a crash out?
They got a crash cart with Fat Tony in there, with his AI Fat Tony. Bobby Wold says, I like the story where Hayden Christensen was hitting the kid actors with the lightsaber, and George Lucas loved it, and that's where we get Anakin slaughtering younglings scene. It happens, right? Jay Astro says a hangnail could be career-ending injury.
Which for months, man.
So through middle school, in middle school before you go into high school, are you getting into anything else other than playing with your toys?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
So when you go into high school, what are you doing? Are you collecting comics? Are you into music? Are you actually skateboarding? I know you mentioned something about Vans, which I'll tell you, they're still the worst shoes ever known to mankind.
Well, so there was 2013, I was in middle school, and that's when
guys, did you hear that? In 2013, he was in middle school.
2013. So that was a rough. I think I wasn't collecting because it was a rougher part in my life. Because I had lost my grandfather, he was my father figure when my father figure, or I call him my sperm donor. I don't know if YouTube will allow you to put that in here, but I call him my sperm donor because he was never around for me or my sister, but my grandfather was, and so he was the one that taught me life lessons and all that.
Wait, did your dad come back after like 10 years and was like, hey, let's have another kid? Or was it just like an absentee father? Like he was there, but wasn't there.
He was there, just wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in like maybe since then. So it's it's whatever. You can't really, it ain't really use holding grudges like that in life.
Yeah.
You just gotta kind of.
My oldest is not she's not mine. I met her mom when she was 5. Never met her dad. I raised her, since she was 5 years old until I was there for kindergarten. I was there for graduation. And then when her mom and I split up, she kind of took her mom's side, and I stayed in there and was like, hey, and then finally it was like, she realized that there was no reason, like whatever happened between her mom and I had nothing to do with her or me.
Right.
So, she lives in California. I should go down there for San Diego Comic-Con, but I've done enough this year and enough stuff going on next year. So it's again, I don't, I'm one of those people that I lost my mom early, and I was always like, dude, you don't know how good you have it to still have your parents. But also as I got older, I realized like, hey, not everyone had a good mother like I did.
Right. So
I can't judge somebody for how you think. Like you're like, hey, the guy wasn't even there, so what do I care? So I fully, I understand that.
Yeah, it was a rough time. I ended up losing him to dementia that eventually formed into Alzheimer's.
That's awful.
And the day that he passed, I was at school, so I never got to really say my goodbyes. And so I've always I think I'll always hold on to that in life. I know you shouldn't really, but I'll always hold that regret that I never got to at least say goodbye or get my last message to him. But oh, 610 Yojo Daddy's here.
Yep. Yeah, the one thing
Nice.
I can say, losing my mom when I was 13, I feel like when someone that you're really close to passes away, you don't think about the good times at first. You think of all the awful things you may have done or said, even though they're the adult, they know that anything that you said, like, you didn't mean. But I can remember saying, certain things to my mom, and I didn't say many bad things to my mom because her and I were so close. But you think about that stuff, so
Mhm.
I can fully understand why you would say something like that. Where it's like, I felt like I didn't get to say it, but it sounds like everything that you said, like he already knew. So
Yeah,
it's
it
easy for
was.
me to tell you, hey, don't worry about it. He already knew. You in your mind, you're like, but I didn't get to say it, so I get it.
I think it was also tough for me too because I was 7 when my grandmother passed away, and it was the same situation. Uh, but it was her decision to not let me say my goodbyes or at least see her when she was in the hospital because she was in a coma and she didn't want me. She wouldn't have wanted me to see her like that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so from middle school into high school was really rough. I mean, I was one of those very antisocial kids. I mean, it seems like it's not the case now because here I am talking to you, and I mean, I do YouTube, but I was very antisocial. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't really have any friends. My mom and I moved around from Texas to New Jersey multiple times, so I never really stayed anchored in one spot. So whatever friends I had, it just kind of dissolved.
That's a
But
that's a night and day difference, Texas to Jersey.
yeah. Um but yeah, I mean I was the one kid that I got bullied a lot in school. Um so that also didn't help with the antisocial aspect, but I mean I did end up having two friends in high school that I still talk to. They were my only two friends. Um they graduated before me, but we always do get it together occasionally to check up on each other, make sure we're okay. We'll go out to eat or something, or So I'm always grateful for the fact that I met them because otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't have.
So throughout high school, I mean, and you said you moved, like you didn't find, like,
Yeah,
again, I know a lot of people will say, and a lot of people I know would say, like, music, finding the punk rock
right.
scene, or finding skateboard. Did you find anything like that that was an outlet, or were you? Because again, you grew up in also an age of video games. It's all
Right.
right there, right at the tip of your fingers. Did you have anything an outlet like that, or was it more or less?
Um. Yeah, I had so I remember my sister and I had a Nintendo 64 growing up. It was technically hers, but we shared it. And I didn't get my first actual gaming system until the PlayStation 2 came out.
Okay.
Um, and so I remember my sister had bought me that, and I had both of them. I had the chunkier one, and then one day that stopped reading discs. And so my sister took up a summer job, and she had saved up enough and bought me the slimmer one. And I had that for, oh man, it was like almost 13 years. Uh, and then like a couple of years ago, the family house. I mean, it's my aunt's house, but we consider it the family house. It got hit by a tornado, and so the room that was in the insulation had caved, like pretty much fell down, and so that got completely ruined. So
You had a rough life. Like, you have had a rough life, man.
dude, I'm telling you, the cards I've been dealt have been rough, but I mean, you always got to stay optimistic when things get bad. So
I tell people, I used to say to my ex, like, stop looking at what we don't have. Look at what we have.
yeah, right.
Because we could always have more. You're absolutely right. There are people that are less deserving than us that have more, but maybe they've earned it. Who cares? But there's a lot of people that have less than us. So be happy for what we have. Our kids are healthy, they're good. So that's your health sucks, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
kids'
but
health. I get, hey, but the kids' health was good. Yeah, I think too many people look at it like that.
yeah,
Like, woe is me. I fucking hate the woe is me people.
yeah, because it's like it yeah.
So
It could definitely be worse.
I'm just trying to read what Kara says. Some damn full on weather goes on in the U.S. Tornadoes and hurricanes and more. No thanks, I'm good. Well, I know, but I mean, there's tornadoes, there's hurricanes,
Oh, I've survived 2 hurricanes. It's like an onion. You just every layer just gets more and more interesting.
And Quip says comparison is the thief of joy. I agree. There's always someone out there who would be twice as happy as you with half the things you have.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%, man. Like, and I think you and I think Quip and I talked about it, man. Like, there's, again, like, my ex, and she still does, and we have a really good relationship. She still does. It's like, stop looking at what you don't have, man. Like, stop. It's because there are people that have way more than us, and sometimes there's people that have way more, and you're like, why do they? Well, maybe they worked for it. You may not like them, but maybe they worked for it. I think the hardest part is when you see someone at your work that does half the amount of work you do, and they have so much more, and you're like, you're the one that doesn't deserve it. I know you're not supposed to compare, but there are those people you're like, fuck you.
Right? It happens. It happens.
So, did you graduate high school?
I did. Yeah, I graduated class of 2019, so right before everything went into lockdown, luckily. Fingers crossed. Everything crossed. Yeah.
Darren, did you hear that? You're going to your 30th reunion tomorrow, and he graduated in 2019, which means your 6-year reunion is coming up.
So the high school aspect is interesting. So technically I should have graduated a couple of years earlier. But there was a point in time where, you know how it is when you're a teenager, you think you know better. And so I ended up being left back a grade, and just didn't have the motivation in school, because one of my 2 friends, one was a junior, one was a senior. He had graduated. Then the next year after that, he had graduated. So I didn't have, pretty much my friends that I had were gone. And so I didn't take school seriously. I didn't pay attention in class. I didn't turn assignments in. And so I basically get called into the office, and I'm given an incentive that I have to go to basically an alternative school to make up for the credits that I lost. So I ended up going to this alternative school. Every time I tell people that I graduated from an alternative school, they think that I got into a fight, that I got into fights, or I was doing drugs or something bad, but it wasn't at all like that. It was just I had to go there to make up credits, otherwise I wasn't going to graduate. So technically I should have been class of 2018. But the way that the school worked is you graduated by quarters of the year. And I was supposed to graduate winter of 2018, but they held me back for a fine arts credit. And the only class they had was theater. And so I took it, and basically we just sat there and did pretty much nothing. So I will always be pissed that I was unable to graduate in the time that I was supposed to, because I had to take a stupid fine arts credit for a class that I basically did nothing in. So the education system is fun.
Yes, yeah, in some aspects I agree 100%. All right, so once you graduated, I feel like you didn't go off to college because just the way you're making it sound, but did you go off to college? I'm not trying to.
So
I didn't go to
I
college
did,
either. I tried and it didn't work.
yeah,
So
I tried college. It wasn't for me. So I just went right into the workforce like every young high school graduate. I mean, I was technically in the workforce. I had my first job, I was 16. I was a dishwasher at a CC's. That was fun. Child labor laws were broken. 725. Fun times. Fun times.
my first job was Ponderosa, and I was working 40 to 50 hours while in high school. I come home from school, I'd go there, work, go out, movies after. Weekends I worked. I remember once saying to the manager, I go, how do you get away with me working all these hours because I'm not supposed to? He goes, we just tell them you dropped out of school. I go, they don't check. He goes, they don't care. I was like, I hope things have changed since the early 90s. But I'll never forget Cliff going, we just tell him you dropped out of school. Which I'm kind of like, dude, I ain't that dumb. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I guess
it's fun. It's so funny when you look back at it now. You're like, wow, they really had loopholes for everything. It's like, oh,
is that even a loophole? You dropped out of school. Like, that's not even a loophole. That's like,
to them, it's a legal loophole to prevent them from breaking child labor laws. To you, it's like, wow, you made me sound like I'm an idiot.
I'm an idiot that I'm working at Ponderosa. Like, no offense to people that work at Ponderosa. It was an awful job at the time. I look back at it with very fond memories because I made a lot of friends. And when you look back and you realize that job really didn't mean much other than the fun you had, then you can reminisce in a good way. So Toy Visual is jumping in and saying, Alpha, I'm assuming this must be one of your buddies because I don't believe that I've ever seen Toy Visuals here.
I met this gentleman in one of the workshops they had at DFW. It was a diorama workshop.
Okay.
And he's a really nice guy. He does a lot of kit bashing. He just recently got into 1/12 scale. He was a 1/6 scale collector.
Why do I feel like I'm the only person that if I met someone I'd be like, he's like a total asshole, but he's here. Well, everyone else would be like, oh, he's a real nice guy. Like, I'm the only one that'd be like, he's an asshole, but hey.
But yeah, he's a really nice he's a really nice guy. I think he's a local collector down here in Texas.
Okay. Well, Texas is a very large state. Like
it is as yeah.
You're not far from DFW, are you? You're right there.
No, it wasn't that far. It was near the airport.
But I'm saying you're not far from DFW, are you?
Right. No, yeah. I'm not that far.
Okay. So You go into the workforce. Do you mind me asking what you do?
So
Or what
I've
what did you
had
go into start doing? You just kind of continuation,
so
cooking,
I
washing dishes, whatever.
I took up a couple of fast food jobs, and then um the job that I had when I got out of high school um was sucked. The manager was an asshole. He would always pick up his paycheck first, and then we would get ours later, and so I would have to deposit my check at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night outside of the bank. I could have been shot, I could have been stabbed, a homeless man could have beat me up, I could have been robbed.
So
um
so that right there eliminated that when I say I went to an alternative school, people think I it was for fighting. I don't think anyone really thought it was because you were fighting. I'm just saying. All right, just saying. You have no shoulders. So he's like,
yeah.
and I know because I've seen my
This is what
son,
I'm
and
up
now he wears
against.
the long sleeve shirts, and I'm like, boy, you have no shoulders. They just.
But one of the people I went to high school with, she had gotten me a job at a senior living care facility
I'm
in the
sorry.
kitchen. So I
I'm
worked
oh,
as a
I'm
dietary
so
aide.
oh, I'm so sorry. That's the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. Working
What
in a
as oh,
nursing home.
was it
I
in the kitchen or was it?
Yes, I was a porter. I was the one that took the food out. I mopped the floors. Worst job I ever had in my entire fucking life. To this day.
How long did you have that position for?
A year and a half or so. I'd have nervous breakdowns every day. I hated it. Everyone told me not to do it because all my friends worked there at some point,
Mhm.
and they said don't do it. I'm like, dude, are you kidding? For at the time, like 4.25 was the minimum wage. I think I was making like 4.55. They
Right.
paid me 6.75. Like this is good money. You never work past 8, unless if you're power washing the floors. Then it was just me and my buddy, and we worked till like 10, and no one was there. You started early. I'm like, it can't be that bad. I should have listened to all my friends. Worst job I've ever had in my entire life. To this day. All right. The fact that I don't
I
even have to think about it.
I think when oh man, I think I worked there for I think 2 years, maybe 3 years. But it paid me better than the last job. So I was
Yeah.
making, I think, 13. I think the last job I was making 11.25. So I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't that bad. All I have to do is I have to carry a tray from the cafeteria to the table. That's not that bad. I just have to wipe tables, wash dishes, whatever days. So
Good
it wasn't
hours.
that bad. Maybe
Not,
maybe it was your maybe
oh,
it was
it was
yours.
a combination of things. Um, the manager, and then one of the cook managers that I just couldn't stand. There was all kinds of things. And what's funny is that I had a bunch of friends that worked there, and one of my best friends growing up, he also worked it. He kept telling me, "Don't do it, don't do it," but he was one that survived it the best. And I was doing stock one day, and they brought a chef in to make everything look more presentable. This was a nice nursing home. This wasn't like one in Detroit. I go into a
Yeah.
lot of nursing homes, and some of them I'm like, how I cannot believe they even allow this to stay open. So this one is not like that at all. And I'm doing stock one day, and the guy's name was Jeff. They called him Chefry. And he's talking to me one day, and he goes, dude, he goes, listen, I'm not going to be here forever. He goes, you could go to culinary arts right now, get a degree in 2 years, and you could have my position. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, I don't want this. My buddy comes in because he was an assistant cook. He comes in a little bit later. I'm telling him, he's like, what? I went, yeah, dude. Like Jeff was just saying. He goes down that week, applies to Macomb, it's our community college, goes in for culinary arts, gets his culinary degree. To this day, he works in nursing homes doing that. And every now and then I'll be in one of my nursing homes and I'll just get that smell. And you know the smell if you've worked in one. They all have a distinct smell. And every now and then I'll text him and I'm like, dude, I'm in a nursing home fixing a copy machine and I got that smell. It is awful. And the last time I did that, he responded and he said, I work in that every day. I'm like, that's your own fucking problem. You chose this. Like, I only got to be in here every now and then, and I hate it. I sprained my ankle skateboarding, so I had to call into work. I went in there to give her the note. This was my manager, Eileen, and she goes, she sees me and she's angry right away. And she walks up and she goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I sprained my ankle skateboarding. I want to give you the note. I can't work for the next week or whatever it was. And she goes, you got to stop doing that. You have a job to do. I'm like 18 years old. And James, the guy that went in, he's standing right there. And James and I graduated together. And James is like, I can't believe she said that to you.
Wow.
I'm like,
what a bitch, man. That's awful.
I got a whole shitload of stories, man. So I put in like 3 or 4 weeks when I got a new job and I just couldn't do it. And I'm sitting there with James one day. I don't remember went to a concert. I'm like, I can't go in and work with her. I'm like, I have like 2 weeks left. I'm like, I can't work with Fran. He goes, just don't go. You're done. And I'm like, but you're going to get screwed. He's like, I don't care, man. He goes, I just won't go until my time. But he's like, dude, look at you. So I didn't show up. James goes in there and he says, Fran, he did this on purpose. Mary, the one I liked, she was like, man, he just hates her, doesn't he? She's like, he couldn't do it. Well, I had to go. I went up there to pick up, like to meet up with James after work. Like everyone was already gone, but Eileen had found out, the manager, she found out that I was there. She sends me a letter stating that I am not to be on the premises because of how I left. So James comes over to my house one day, and I lived in my dad's basement, and we just had like, my dad put up styrofoam in the joists for like insulation, so I could just pin stuff up. And James is like, dude, I heard Eileen sent you a letter that you're not allowed to come here. I go, yeah. I go, it's right there. And he goes, what? I go, I hung it on the wall. And he goes, shut up. He's like, dude, she sent you a letter. Man, you hung it on the wall. I'm like, it's fucking awesome. I quit.
It's inspiration.
Like, you can't stop me from coming over there. Like,
you looked at it.
So I guess there are some good things that came out. There are some good things that made me laugh coming out of there. But yeah, there were a few things. Again, that was the worst job I ever had, man. It was so bad. James was here. Like James, I hung out all the time, and he was off. And he's over my house. And this is before cell phones, right? You probably don't know that. There used to be a thing before cell phones. And so he's over at my house. He calls home. He said, hey, anyone call for me? He says, yeah. He goes, Shelby called. They want you to come into work. And he's like, and James can't say no. He's like, I got it. I'm like, James, it's your day off. You don't have to call in. He's like, I have to. She's going to be so mad. I go, okay, here's what you do. You call in at 12. Why? Because between 11:30 and 12:30, they're online doing the meals. She cannot come to the phone. One of the girls will answer the phone. Fran will not come because she's stuck there. He goes, okay. So he calls from my house. He's like, James is like the nicest guy. Calls up. He goes, she's like, hello, dietary. He goes, let me talk to Fran. I'm like, where this come from? She's like, she calls. She's like, she can't come to the phone. We're really busy. We're behind. Can I leave her a message? He goes, just tell her James called and I'm doing just fine. And he hangs up the phone. I'm like, all right, like you didn't have to do it like that, but that was awesome. So there are some good memories, I guess, I have from the worst job I ever had in my entire life. But sorry, that was enough about me. I have deep rooted hatred for that place. All right.
My time
You seem
working
to have a good
that
time.
job, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, we had some residents that weren't the friendliest, but if you took them away, um I had a lot of really good experiences with the residents that lived there. Um
Did you ever get an
my
open back
my
shot?
boss, a what?
An open back shot? Walking down the
No, not
halls,
like
and then
that.
you look in, and then you notice not that they do it on purpose, but they're just walking and their robes are like wide open. And you're like
No,
walking down the hall and you look
luckily,
over and you're like, oh my God.
no, no. Luckily, I haven't. I know one of the coworkers I had at that job did unfortunately have that experience. Luckily, I didn't. So I will never be traumatized by
There's
that.
still time. You're still young. You can always go back to one and get there. It's it's like the worst sight you could ever see. And
It's
again, I'm
like,
not
why
saying
does
on
it look
purpose.
like that?
All right, so you worked at a nursing home. It sounds like you had a pretty
Right.
good experience, which I'm glad because, like I said, mine and everyone that worked there, I was just like, this sounds awesome. And they're like, everyone says that. Stop, stop, stop. I'm like, honest, I have so many damn fucking stories from that place. A lot are mine, a lot are from other people. We had another guy that worked there that we went to school with. He couldn't stand. They had this cleaner, and it would foam up a little bit, and he stuck it in the dishwasher. He like squirted a whole bottle in the dishwasher.
Oh.
So once the dishwasher started, now
Oh.
I don't know how
Bubbles
yours was. Like the
everywhere.
one that we had, like the dishwasher went, and it was a long, like a long track after that because
Yeah.
and so it just, and he did it, and then he left, and because he was done with
Oh,
his shift.
right.
And I wasn't there, but James was. James was there for a lot of these. And he's like, they fired it up and bubbles started coming out and they couldn't
Oh,
get it to stop.
no.
And they're freaking out. They have no idea why. And James is like, I know exactly what he did. Because we've all poured it, like shot it, but never. He did a whole bottle, and he's like the whole track or whatever it is
Yeah.
was full of like suds, and there's no way to stop it. Like the whole
Oh.
thing had to cycle and empty it out, and they're all freaking out because they have no idea. They're calling maintenance, and James is like, I'm sitting there going, I know exactly why it's doing it, but I can't say anything because if I do, Dan will get in trouble. We always wanted to take the puree mix and dump it
put
in.
it in the dishwasher.
No, we wanted to put it in the toilets at school because it's clear. We never did it, but it would have hardened up clear. And when someone went to take a shit, you know that we're like, we never got around to doing it. That would have ruined the toilet. So it would have been so bad. Believe me.
Oh, the school would have been pissed. They would have been like, who put this in our toilet?
Could you get that whole tub, which is like, okay, so if anyone knows, a tub of puree makes a liquid hard so they can eat it. A whole tub would be equivalent to a big bottle of baby formula. So imagine, like, and we never got around to it, but we always wanted to. It wasn't the nicest.
I mean, it could have been worse. I remember
Could have been.
when I went to high school, I remember there was a group of kids that stole the stall out of the bathroom. There was like a bench in the bathroom and they stole it. They managed to like rip it out of the ground and they carried it down the stairs, and I think they just dropped it in like the middle of the school. I remember hearing about that. I was like, they did what? They're like, yeah, that's why the bathroom is closed up there because a group of kids took the bench out and dropped it in the middle. I was like, what the hell?
um, I think there's a lot of things that I would have. That I think we probably. I thought about, like, we all thought about doing stuff. There was always the one group of kids that would do something that's stupid,
Mhm.
that would
Yeah.
like, you'd be like, wow, I can't believe you did that. I wasn't that brave to try stuff like that, but I
I
definitely.
think what would have been better was, wow, I can't believe I got away with that and they never caught me. That
I
would
know
have
a
been
few
the
people
one
that
up.
Yeah, I know a few people that did stuff like that too, where they got away with stuff, and you're like, I mean, even like outside, like my friends went through this phase of getting smoke bombs and dropping them in restaurants.
Mhm.
They dropped one in a Blockbuster after hours in a
Oh.
slot, and they drove by. They drove by and dropped it in there, and then they came. And these were like the ones that went on and on for like minutes. And then they said they came back and the fire department and everything was there. They, I'll never forget. Like, they had this thing with those cheap fountains.
Yeah.
They'd light them off. And one day we were driving by by Big Boy, and he's like, "I want to go light one off and throw it in there." And he lit it off. He walked in and threw it in, and we took off. His fountain of sparkles going off in Big Boy while you're trying to have your chocolate shake.
What the hell is going on?
Who even thinks of this shit? That's the whole thing. Like, who, like, you're not doing any damage. You're just such a dumbass kid. Just like, you want to be a rebel, but you're doing something that is so like,
I mean,
destructive.
the one thing I could think of that one upped the stall was, I remember there was a kid that brought, well, I don't know what they called it when you were in school, but they called it liquid ass, where it's like liquid. It's like a liquid, and if you dispense it, it is like the worst fucking smell ever. Like, it's worse than skunk spray.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So I remember I was having lunch and I went to go get in line and I was like, what the fuck is that awful ass smell? And someone was like, someone let off liquid ass. And all the teachers are like trying to find these kids. And people are like, it smells so bad. What is that smell? It smells like rotten eggs, but worse. See, the
Oh,
restart knows what I'm talking about, dude. It smells awful. Like, it is the worst fucking smell ever. Like,
I
I
know what you
remember that smell still. That's
So I
how
know what
bad
you're
it was.
talking about. I don't think that's what it
Right.
was called, but yeah, it's just a spray that just
Yeah.
is as awful as it can come.
Yeah. It
Again,
like
like, why
it's
anyone
worse
would
than a
even buy
stink
that?
bomb.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to mall rats. I don't know if you ever seen mall rats.
Yeah.
Wait, puts his
That's
hand
what
down.
it's
You've been sweaty. He's like, but then your hand smells like that. It's a small price to pay. So, so,
stink stink
stink
bomb.
palm. Yes,
It's called stink
stink
bomb.
palm was mall rats. All right, so we kind of talked about how you graduated, and
Right.
so when you graduate, are you collecting toys, or are you just
I was getting back into collecting at that time.
okay? So,
Um
but you went into it in the pandemic.
it was maybe it might have been 2 years before that. Because I remember when I got into the whole collecting, and then I found that there was groups, there were like collector groups um on, well, I don't that they were on Facebook. Yes, if you say Facebook, you sound like an old person. But yes, there were
Oh my God,
collective groups
Facebook
on
is not that
Facebook.
old. Good fucking Lord.
Well,
Like,
when I say it, people make it seem like I'm fucking old when I say it.
that's because
But
my kids are like, Facebook is for you old people. Like,
people,
shut up.
but
Shut up.
that's when I was getting into collecting, and then I was seeing like all these different photography shots of figures, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I kind of want to do something like that. And so then I got into Marvel Legends, and I was collecting them because I was finding them for really cheap. I remember I went to Five Below one time and I found the entire Onslaught wave for $5 a piece. And I was like, oh, I mean, why not? $5 for a figure. And then I was collecting, and then the pandemic came up. But I was still collecting at the time, and then that's when I had taken up boarding, because whenever everyone had gotten their stimulus checks, I spent a little bit of my stimulus check on a board, and I like self-taught myself how to longboard, which was fun. It was fun. You said that you had twisted your ankle boarding. I still have all, well, I don't know how good it'll show up, but I still have all my scars on my hands from when I fell. I still have my scar from when I fell boarding to work that one day.
I have so many, like, my elbows are just a mess. If you start looking, you see the scars. My shins. If Quip's still here, he skated. I do not have smooth shins. And if what do you mean? From your board smashing your shins, they get dinks, just like wood does. And every skateboarder knows that pain of a shinner. It is the absolute worst.
Mhm. I remember when I started boarding that I would kick up the board too much and it would smack right into my knee. So I understand the pain. But I remember I had scuffed up. I mean, I had completely taken the skin off of my hands, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna be late to work. They're gonna be pissed if I'm late to work. And so I had a hoodie on, and so I just boarded to work with my, which you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do that, because if you fall, you're supposed to make sure your hands are out to catch you from falling.
Yes.
So then you don't get brain damage. But I did it. I remember I went, because you had to sign in on this little clipboard. You had to sign in when you were clocking in. Before you clocked in, you had to sign out before you clocked out. And I remember the receptionist that was there, she like saw my hands and she was like, oh my god, are you okay? What happened? And I was like, I fell off my board. I'll be okay. And then I went in, and my boss at the time, who was actually really nice, she was a huge wrestling fan as well, because she used to work for Sky Sports when she was younger, for anyone that knows what Sky Sports is. And so she saw my hands and she was like, do I need to take you to the emergency room? I was like, no, I'll be okay. But I ended up having to do dishes that night. So imagine the chemicals that you have to use to clean dishes, and that gets into fresh wounds. Fun, a lot of stinging. But what had happened was my wheel had hit a huge chunk of concrete, like a big rock. And so as soon as it hit, I went right off of it. And so my first instinct was to put my hands out. And so that's what scuffed up my.
It could be
my
something
hand.
worse.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse. But I wear my scars like a badge of honor.
Oh, yeah. Again, Again, sprained ankles you don't see, but they never heal.
Mhm.
They might get better, but when they come back like
Yes.
oh my gosh. Yeah, my elbows have been. I mean, sometimes my daughter would look and she's like, "What's wrong with your elbows?" I'm like, "Which one?"
Which one?
But I also get like, they start to fade, and if I look, I can usually find where they're at. I have 4 or 3 scars from the oven racks at Ponderosa taking out the baked potatoes, and it would dip and it hit your it would hit your forearm, and it's an instant. Again, I'm not talking like it'd fall and land on it, and it just hit it, and it was just like you'd hear it, and then within minutes it'd start just scabbing over because it was
hot.
awful. It was, but like I have 1 on one side and 2 on the other side because that's how 3 works. And everyone that worked there, so it's not like it was just me. Everyone that worked there doing, being a cook, they all had that exact same awful scar. Yeah, not a lot of fun. All right, so you get into collecting,
Right.
and pandemic comes. Were you one of the lucky people that have all the free money?
Yeah, I had I did. They
Okay.
did give me a stimulus.
Hey, I was too.
But
So I'm not judging. I'm just asking if you were one that had the free money.
but I didn't immediately spend it on figures. Like I said, I bought a board because I needed something to get me to and from work because I wasn't that far. It wasn't a far distance, but it was just something, to just get me to and from work. And so that's what I bought because these days sneeze and they call out when he was dying.
So quickly, I want to say 19 here says, dude, props for your integrity and commitment to getting to work. Kids these days sneeze and they call out and resign. I want to say this. Right after my son was born, I was home. My ex, his mom, was bouncing him on her knee, and she sneezed and she said, "Take him, take him, take him." Now, as a hockey fan, especially at the time, you would hear about guys having back spasms, and you go, "What do you mean? I have spasms all the time. It's not that big of a deal."
Mhm.
Well, we had to go to the hospital. I could literally see as you went down the 3 vertebrae that were like this because spasm pulls on both sides. When we went there, he was explaining that's what a back spasm is. And I went, "So is that what hockey players like?" He's like, "Exactly." I go, "There's not," because my ex has had 4 back surgeries.
Mhm.
At this point, she'd only had 1 or 2, but it pulled them. And I remember her like, she pulled up her shirt and she's like, "Can you see?" I was like, "Yep." Like you could literally count 1, 2, 3. And it just pulled. It was the craziest. But that is when I realized what back spasm, and it happened from a sneeze. So 19, Jace, I would normally agree, and for the most part, I would because you're absolutely right. I can't get my son to get a job, so again, whole another thing. 19-year-old, but sometimes if someone says I sneezed, I'm like, you know what? I can't be mad. I watched it. I mean, I watched it happen, but that was just back spasm.
In the real time.
A little bit of muscle relaxer that took care of it. I forget where we're at.
Oh yeah, with the pandemic, the free money.
Oh yeah, the free money.
It's free money.
It was.
So,
I mean, that's what it is. It was free money.
It was. I mean, now we're
paying for it.
Yeah, we're paying for it. People didn't understand that there's always a clause when it comes to free stuff. There is always
it has to be paid back somewhere.
There's always a catch to it.
Yes.
So technically,
And I don't care what side of the
it was
aisle politically you're on.
temporary.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on politically. That somewhere along those dues come due.
Think of it. People should think of it as like a loan. They loaned you money to do whatever the fuck you wanted with it, but now you got to pay back.
No,
Now you got to pay them out.
they gave you money and didn't tell you that, hey, down the road, we're
You're
going
gonna
to
have
take
to
it
pay.
back.
We're gonna need
You're
that
just
back.
not going to know how we're taking it back till it's hurting too much. And then they're like, hey, remember that money? Yeah, it had to get paid back somehow.
Exactly.
And again, this is not political. This is economics. So hopefully everyone that had that money did something well with it, did something proper, you know. So Nolan says, what is that? Technically, you pay that money with your taxes. Yeah, until yeah, but again, technically. So anyway, you're getting the pandemic money,
Right.
which was great. I mean, it was very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And you're collecting now.
Right.
Are you dating anyone or anything during this, or?
No. I think I'd broken up with a girl before I had gotten the senior living care job.
Okay. So then, if you're collecting, if you date ever, how do you break it to someone? How do you tell them? Because I know that when I've told girls, I'm like, oh, you collect toys. That's I think that's really cool. And I'm like, I collect toys, and they're like, yeah, that's really cool. And then they see, and they go, oh, you collect. I'm like, I fucking told you.
Yeah,
I was very honest about
on
it.
the word collect.
Yes.
Put an emphasis on it.
Emphasis on the toys. What's up, Tony? How are you doing?
What's going on, Tony? How are you?
So how do you break it to a girl when you're talking to them and you're courting them?
I mean, I'm just like, hey, I have a hobby. My hobby is that I collect figures, and sometimes I make dios, and sometimes I like to take pictures of them. And so I'll show someone, like at work, I've shown a couple of people like pictures that I've taken of my figures, and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, that's pretty interesting. I mean, people could have weirder hobbies. I know, there are people that collect, stamps or coins or, dolls, those weird porcelain dolls that are really creepy.
I know
Or
exactly.
like they collect the Raggedy Ann dolls.
My mom had this doll from when she was a kid and never got fixed. The head had actually fallen off. It just had to be fixed. But when she laid down, the eyes closed, and when she sat up, the eyes opened.
Yeah.
And it was creepy.
Yeah.
And my sister had this clown, this stuffed clown, and I always thought it looked like the poltergeist one. It looked nothing like the poltergeist, but I would be in the basement, and it was kept in the basement, like in like an old box of all these stuffed animals. Right. I'm like, I hate that thing is there.
Yeah. Some of them are creepy. Like some of them, yeah, like you said, they have the opening eyes, or some of them that just have the dead eyes, like they're the porcelain dolls with the dead eyes.
Yes.
They're so creepy. I'm just like, why do you collect those? Like, what happens if you have to get up to use a bathroom in the middle of the night, you turn the light on, and it's just those are staring at you? Like, do you not feel uncomfortable at all?
Yeah, like I'm telling you, man, it's bad. Talib jumping in here saying, hey guys. All right, so At this stage, what are you
Right.
collecting? Like, do you have a specific focus? Is there anything you're all in on, or are you just kind of like, I like this, I like that?
I think right now I'm just cherry picking. I do collect the classified series stuff. I mean, behind me, I have all my horror stuff, so I collect the NECA stuff, but it's only stuff from movies that I like. I don't collect everything.
Only
With
fools will collect everything.
with Jada Toys, I collect the Street Fighter stuff, and I got the Cyberpunk figures, which are actually pretty good quality figures. And then some of the wrestling figures I dabble into, but I've significantly cut back on them because there are just so many of them out, and you feel the hesitation to, oh, I want to pick this one because I like the gear that this one's wearing, or this is from a pay-per-view that I like. And then once you step back and you look at it, you're like, whoa, this is a lot. And I've seen a lot of collectors that are just strictly wrestling figure collectors, and they have walls with these shelves that are just filled with wrestling figures of one, like many of one particular person. And I'm just like, I don't know if I could be that person.
So Nolan says, "Are you getting the Jada Scooby Doo figures?" Now, first off, Nolan, we need to ask him: are you old enough to remember Scooby Doo? Do you
Of
remember?
course.
Okay.
Yes. I remember watching the reruns when the Boomerang channel was still on cable. I remember my grandfather would pick up my sister and I from school. He would take us to Burger King, and then after that, we would go back to my grandmother and his apartment that he had in New Jersey, and I would sit there and I would watch cartoons until my mom came and picked us up to take us home. So I remember the older cartoons. I remember Top Cat and Hong Kong Phooey and the Jetsons and the Flintstones and Johnny Quest, um, and Scooby Doo. But I always loved Scooby Doo the most. And then it was also during the time when they had the direct to DVD movies, so Zombie Island. Um, it was Zombie Island. It was Cyber Chase, The Witch's Ghost, and I'm thinking of it. I know the other one. Alien Invaders. So they had those. Then they had the several reboots of the Scooby-Doo cartoon. So I've always been a Scooby-Doo fan. I have a shelf up there that's dedicated to just Scooby-Doo. So I love Scooby-Doo. And we had the live action movies too, which I
So I
love.
think you're
People hate
getting the
them, I
figures
love
then.
them. I am. I have them on pre-order. I'm waiting for Big Bad Toy Store to give me my figures. And then I just saw that they showed Scooby, they showed the Space Kook. Um,
Yeah.
technically he's like the creature from the Black Lagoon and Daphne. So I'm all in on these. I'm all in on them. They look fun. So yeah, I'm definitely Rush from Mega Man. Matthew Matson dropping the Mega Man reference. Very
So
nice.
Gladiator Brig, who I believe is new, I don't feel like I've ever seen you here before. If you have, Matthew will tell me. Says picking up McFarlane Fallout figs.
If they were half the price that they currently are right now, I would, because I have played the Fallout games. I've played a couple of them. I really like them. The lore for Fallout is really interesting when you look into it. The TV show was great. I really liked it, but $60 is not, it's not a good price. I don't know if that's a McFarlane number, if that plays into the Bethesda license, because I can't imagine the Fallout license is that much now. I could see when Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas was out, I could see that's why it's high, but I can't imagine that there's a particular reason why they're $60 a piece.
And then let's see, Izzy Trevi. Okay, I was gonna say it. Matthew's just like totally been here before. I'm sorry, guys. Like I apologize to people that but I remember this fate. I remember this one. So Izzy Trevi saying inbox collector. I always regret taking my NECA out of the box.
I take all mine out of the box. I take them out the box. They're the box away. Because once you start stockpiling boxes, then you quickly run out of room, and you're like, well, do I really need all these boxes? Maybe not. Not unless it's like a Mezco or something like that. Then yeah, you keep the box.
You don't keep your boxes?
Only if it's for like the import figures or the Mezco figures, because in case you come across a time where you have to sell some figures off.
Yeah.
For the import figures and the Mezco figures, if you have the box, it ups your asking price. Because there are people that just strictly want to keep them in the box. Then there's people that want the 100% the figure with all the accessories, with the packaging, with the box. And so
I keep all my boxes. I keep them all. Tony's like, you need to throw those away. I'm like, I can't. I can't.
So do you just put them in a closet, or you just?
Well, my classified, I have I created shelves to put all my classified boxes on there. But the majority of my boxes are in a closet. The Mezco ones are like with the classified. The Jada are hidden kind of behind the classified because of how they set. The Marvel Legends are sitting behind my bar, which I'm gonna destroy the bar next year. So I'm gonna take it down finally. The Mythic Legions, which you kind of got to keep your Mythic Legions because of how they are. They're all in there. Now, when I sold all my my Masters of the Universe stuff, I keep all my card backs. I do not keep the bubble, so I get rid of the blister. The guy that bought them all was like, "Yeah, I don't want it." I'm like, "What about the books?" He's like, "I don't care. You do whatever you want with the books." I have a stack of those of the mini comics. I need to go on eBay and just see if you can sell them. I'm like, I'm just sitting on them, and yeah, I have problems.
I mean, you never know. There are the weird people on eBay that sell just the box for figures.
Oh, I know.
And there seem to be people that buy them. So I mean, there's punk with the bar.
Well, again, the bar was made when I got here, and it's a brick bar. Brick, and it's a brick bar with glass block and then tile on top. It's a pain to even think about destroying. It's not like it's like this wood where I can just tear. And it's right down the center of my basement, the one side of my basement, and my steps are down the middle. So my basement's already cut in two. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
So once you get rid of it, what are you gonna put in its place? Just more like a more area to.
Yeah, I mean, I can actually move stuff around, like because the way that it's set, there's nothing I could do, because it literally extends from the wall and it's over half the length. So I have a bench down there and everything to work out with, but I have to have the bench turned a specific way, which is like against the wall, because if you have it the other way, you can't load any weight on it because you're pushed up against the bar. It is, I mean, you could go to where I build the shelves and you can see exactly how it's all set up. But it's all brick. It's not fake brick. It's real brick. But finally, I looked it up and I'm like, you know what? This is something I can just get rid of. I mean, it's going to take some work. it's gonna take some work and a lot of going up and down stairs with bricks. But I'm like, I've run out of space in my house, and oddly enough, toy companies are not stopping to make toys.
No, they are not.
And some people are getting really big toys like that. You can't see it because it's in dark blue, but you can think of what is the very large dark blue vehicle that has recently come out.
The vehicle, it takes up quite a bit of space from whatever.
It only holds 2 figures, just so you guys realize. It only holds 2 figures. And Toy Visual says, some boxes have cool art. I'd keep those. I wish I could get rid of them. I just can't. It's crazy, and I know a lot of people. A lot of people think that I'm absolutely crazy when it comes to that. So, Matthew says, Law and Order from Amazon arriving Monday. Mine a little later. Yeah, claws are arriving. I got that, but I gotta look up Law and Order now. Damn it! It's a lot of money. All I asked at the beginning of the year, I said, I just hope all the because last year the same shit happened. Everything came out the last half of the year, and I'm like, hopefully they don't do it again. And sure enough, it's even worse this year. But yeah, so
they've been putting out quite a bit, and we don't even know what is coming out. We don't even know what's coming out at this panel whenever they have it. I think it's tomorrow or Saturday.
But that stuff hopefully is a little bit down the road.
Yeah, because right now they are it feels like it's rapid fire at this point.
In Operation Monster Force now looks like September, I think they said their stuff, which I'm like, okay, I can deal with it. It's crazy. Transporter 8 says, I have a storage, so I think the boxes are going to have to go in the store. I'm eventually going to have to get a storage unit, or I could actually just build or buy I don't have a shed. I probably should get a shed.
And just put them all in there.
No, I could put stuff in the shed and then make more room in the house that just to store the boxes. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, I can only do so much in the basement, just the way that it's designed. But there are some things that I can kind of knock out. But it's all time consuming, and it's just like everything's time consuming. It's not it's not a lot of money, but it takes time, and so. Look, Joe Fan 84 is jumping in here saying, "Everyone, I'm finally off work. And for 2 days. I just got my son, and he's watching on his phone too. He cannot comment, but he says hello, and it was nice to meet you at Joe Fest. Oh, nice to meet you guys." We got Grizzlehorn jumping in here, sir. I'm just going to move to a bigger house. I was thinking about it a while ago, but I've recently taken some actions that kind of prevent me from doing that. But eventually, because either that, I get one of these kids out of the fucking house. So you're not collecting one main line right now. You're just kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, not right now.
So what would you say the hottest ticket that you're collecting? Like, what's the hottest thing that you're into right now?
Oh, man. It was classified, but now that you brought up the fact that they are just rapid firing everything, I'm like, I need to take a step back. We need to just let all this stuff come out and then figure out what exactly I need and what exactly I don't necessarily need from classified, because I cherry pick classified. I've cherry picked classified since the first wave of classified that I got, which was the wave that Flint and Lady J came out in.
That I swear I feel like that Like, I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. And then I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Joe Fan 84 says, at this point, I'm thinking about buying an old abandoned Walmart for my storage. Yeah, I thought about like moving into Joann's, but every time I go there or go to an abandoned store, I see a Spirit Halloween showing up. So I'm like, damn, I'm too late.
You're like, damn it.
Honestly, God, Joann Fabrics, it's right by my Ollie's. Obviously went out of business.
Yeah.
But like I gotta cut through there. So I'm like, hey, let's go see if those are there. I go to cut through it and I see Spirit Halloween coming soon. I'm like, dude, it's July. What do you mean it's coming soon?
I love seeing.
What about the old abandoned building you were in last year that's still abandoned?
Listen, I may be the only one, but I do love seeing the Spirit Halloween signs.
It's comical.
They bring joy to me. I am a Halloween person. I love Halloween. Actually, I was technically supposed to be born on Halloween, but I came a couple of days later, and so I ended up being born on November 2nd instead of on Halloween.
Yeah, I know when the government shut down a few years ago, someone had made a meme and it had the Spirit of Halloween over the White House. And they're like, this is getting ridiculous now.
Listen, Spirit Halloween loves abandoned buildings, okay? The less they have to pay for rent for the Halloween season, for the Spirit Halloween season.
Well,
it is
comical. I mean, it is very comical, but in all honesty, it's like you are doing something. I don't know how it is there in Michigan here for a while. The fireworks stores would do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they made a law that you could shoot off fireworks year round. So these firework companies started buying buildings and moving into it. And people were fighting. And I'm like, this is the stupidest idea, because eventually people are going to get tired of spending all this money to fire off. They think it's cool because they can do it now. But in 4 or 5 months, when they realize they can do it all the time, like, you bought this building.
Mm-hmm.
There's one time a year that it's big. No one's buying, especially we're in Michigan. No one is buying it in the winter. No one in January, on January 15, when it's like 4 degrees out and the wind chill of like minus 15 is like, you know what we need to go do? Fire off some fireworks. Hopefully we don't blow our hands off.
Freeze. They'll just go to shoot them off and they'll just freeze midair.
Joe Fan says he hasn't seen his Spirit Halloween in a while. Drive by an abandoned building.
Currently, right now.
I promise
if you have any free time,
you will see it coming soon. Spirit Halloween. So stepping away from the toys here, what are you doing on YouTube? Do you have anything in particular that you're working at doing? Any specific lives, shows that you're doing, anything like that?
So when I first started YouTube, which a lot of people don't realize it, but I have been on YouTube, I think, longer than most people that either started their channel recently or have come into the community. But I was mainly doing reviews. Then when Google Hangouts was still a thing, I was doing lives on those. Then they got rid of Google Hangouts, and so the free option for live streaming was gone. And then I found StreamYard, and it was affordable. And now they raised the prices. So it seems like every positive when it comes to trying to stream on here, there is always a catch-22 to it. But I mean, I do reviews occasionally. I've mostly been doing lives, but I want to get back into reviews just because I think they're fun. I treat them like little mini movies.
No, everyone has their own style. And I know earlier we were talking, I'm like, don't get into reviews. It's awful. and that's because I just finished doing the Rattler before.
The Rattler, yeah.
All right, and again, I should have done it at my kitchen table. I tried doing it here. Well, I did it here. I didn't try. I successfully did it. We'll see when it comes out if people think it's successful. It was a nightmare. It is so big. I mean, it is. It's so. Yeah. It's the people that want a Skystriker, and you're like, yeah, no. But I enjoy doing them, and that's why. I mean, I was just messing around because I'm like, now again. But I love when people have their own style. You know, that they're not just copying other people's style, and they put a fresh take on it. You know, that's the biggest thing. Do a fresh take. Don't just do exactly what you've seen other successful people do. Take aspects of what they do, but
Right.
People are seeing them, and they're like, hey, well, if I want to see that, I'll go watch so and so, right?
Right.
Like nobody, I heard Mr. Beast talking about it, and he goes, there's one guy that copies me, literally word for word, he does it. And he goes, it's fine to take inspiration, but why would you copy exactly what I'm doing? I already do it. Make people see you for you and put your spin on it. That's what you're here for.
Right.
And I'm with that. Like, I think it makes sense. I've been saying that forever.
I mean, I've been doing YouTube. Well, actually, I realized it's been 7 years already. When I logged into YouTube, it was like, hey, it's your 7-year anniversary. I was like, I've been doing this for 7 years. It doesn't feel like it. But yeah, 7 years ago, I mean, you kind of had to find your own style and find your own unique spin on it, because I mean, everyone can sit here and review an Agent Venom. I mean, how many you could type in Marvel Legends Agent Venom, you will see hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people reviewing it. But sometimes you'll have those few occasions where, if you take a cool picture in the thumbnail, or if you have an interesting intro, or maybe the music that you use for it, or maybe the transitions between, depending on the style, if you do, paint sculpt, articulate, or paint sculpt, accessories, articulation, and then you give your final thoughts. Sometimes people like that. Or if you do paint and then articulation and then accessories, sometimes those type of things that stand out, they do help. They do help you out in the long run, because it means, hey, you're doing something unique, and it's not like, Joe Schmo or whoever on YouTube.
And that's the biggest thing. First off, it takes a long time to get in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And it is huge. Like, I'm in the algorithm of G.I. Joe. So and mostly classified, but other G.I. Joe stuff would do okay. But, it's like you're in the algorithm, and I don't know how it picks it either. I mean, I really don't. I do a Marvel Legends, and it's like crickets. But there's a lot more people buying Marvel Legends. So you would just think, by the aspects of how large the channel is, that it would be shot out there. But they don't care, because they're like, who's this guy? Like, he doesn't normally do it. And the thumbnail is what brings people in. If you look at all my thumbnails of recent, for the most part, they all look very similar. So people know who that is, whether you like me or not. Some people will be like, hey, I don't really like that person. Well, right away. And other people are like, oh, wow, he did this. I got to watch it. But you're absolutely right about that. Like, the whole style. And, it is, when you can type in something that you've reviewed and you pop up right away, you're like, that's good. That makes me feel good.
It feels like a small victory, because, there are people that just shoot, a one take where it's just, it's just straight through. It's just, hey, I'm so and so, I'm going to be reviewing this, and they'll put it in front of the camera, and okay, here's the paint, here's a sculpt, accessories, here's what it comes with, articulation.
I feel attacked
boom,
right now,
done.
but okay.
But then there are some. No, I'm not attacking you. But I mean,
I feel attacked right now. Like, you literally just explained how I do my reviews.
yeah, but you have the intro that goes. You have the intro that goes into it, though. You have the intro. You have the outro. Some people will just they won't put an intro or an outro.
Bobby
It'll
B.
just be like,
Bobby B doesn't even do fucking thumbnails.
yep, exactly.
And again, it's
Yes.
not a negative towards him because I've been trying to figure out how he fucking does it. That's how he became my nemesis. That's what my son named him. But you're right. He does here's his hands. He has this nice deep voice. I thought he was a 62-year-old guy that smoked like a pack of cigarettes a day. I was completely wrong. He doesn't show his face. He doesn't do a thumbnail. He picks whatever the best picture is that YouTube decides.
Mhm.
His name's not on it. Nothing.
Yeah, it's just.
But you know it when you see it, though.
Yep.
You do know it when you see it.
Yep.
But yeah, you're absolutely correct with that. Like, everyone has their own style, and I've tried telling people that, like, don't imitate. If you like what I do, awesome, but put your own spin on it, because I'm very, very basic. But that's what people have come to like. I'm going to be long-winded. I think everyone knows that.
Like what Gladiator Briggs says, format is one of the key things when it comes to this. I found when I got into YouTube that you find your trials and your errors. Maybe my intro was too long, or maybe I talked too much on this, or maybe I dragged on this too much. And so that's what I found when I went back and watched some of my older reviews. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could do this review. I could review this figure in half the time that I did before. All I have to do is just bullet points. And so once you do your bullet points, it does get annoying when you do have to sit there and you're on your 20th take and you're like, fuck, man, I want to just get this done. I just want to get this review done, and I just want to move on to the next thing because I'm tired of sitting here and looking at this damn figure for the 20th time while I have to sit here, reset the camera. So it does get frustrating. I don't think people realize when you do YouTube and you do figure reviews, it does get frustrating over time. Either you'll say something and you'll trip over your words by accident, or you'll knock over something and you'll have figures in the background and they'll just dominoes, they'll just domino effect, or your figure will just randomly fall over while you're talking about something. It's one of the many fun things with it.
So Gladiator Break says sometimes people check your reviews because they're concerned about a QC issue in the line and are fencing. And
Mm-hmm.
And so bullet points help. And see, bullet points help for a lot of people. Now I have bullet points, obviously, or at least I try and hit the bullet points. But because I haven't messed with the figure at all, it's straight out of the box. So, and when someone's mad at me because I've missed something, you're kind of like, all right, I understand, like, I missed something. Maybe you just say it. You're mad at me. You didn't pay for it, right? I didn't charge you for this. All right. You may not realize this, but I just worked a full day.
And I just want to sit down.
Talk
about this piece of plastic.
A lot of people think I'm like, I have to be first or I have to be early. That's why I always do it. The reason why it's like that, in all honesty, is because I hate not opening my figures, but because I do everything as I open it, I kind of have to do it to continue my style. I don't want to go back and be like, okay, well, I messed around with this figure for 4 or 5 days. Now I'm going to do a review on it. I want that open, but there's other people that do that, and that's great because then people can come back and it's it's something they can get out of it. Like, okay, this guy's been messing around with this figure for a week. Now I can actually hear what he has to say about it and what he actually thinks. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, people are always, you have to have your own style. And with no matter what you do, whether it be live streams, and you got to have a personality. That's the biggest thing. I'll say that 100%.
Yep.
Crackmaster 79 jumping in here. There are people that don't have personalities. Or they're just like, here's the news. Here are the new figures. I can get that from anyone. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I can get that from anyone. And some people do it really not. They do really good. They've been doing it for years. They still have 15 people watching the live stream, and you're like, you've been doing this for 3 years. At some point, and if you want to grow, if you don't want to grow, that's perfectly fine, right? I remember asking Matthew early on. I said, "Is it wrong that I want to grow?" And he was like, "Absolutely not."
No.
But some people are perfectly fine talking to 15 people for 2 or 3 years. I am not. I don't know why. I guess when I lose someone, I can be like, "Hey, I got someone. I got someone else to replace it." But having more people to talk to, it's just you get more conversations, you get more opinions. It's just more fun.
I think it's also a fun challenge too, that you want to grow your channel, because once you get once you put up a video and it starts getting traction, or once you hit a certain amount of subscribers, you're like, this is awesome. I hit this little milestone. I didn't think anyone would give a shit about what I had to say, or how I make my videos, or how I do this, or my opinions on this figure. That's awesome. Now let's get to that next part of the mountain, because YouTube is like a mountain, and climbing it does get challenging. I will say, I've experienced burnout. I'm sure that's a very common thing, is to get burnt out. You try to,
a lot of people do.
You try to do these reviews, and you try to, at least for me, I try to make them, I do my reviews in a way that if I can sit through and watch it, which I do, even though I do them in chunks, I will sit there and I will watch a part over and over and over and over again. And if I will clip stuff out that doesn't need to be in there, I will mess with the music. I will do this and that. And once I have the full thing done, if it's something that I can sit through and say, okay, yeah, if I was just a regular viewer, this guy hit these points. I like the intro. I like the visuals. I like the choice of music. Then we're good. But that's just me. Everyone has a different approach to this stuff, and I think it's fun. I like everyone's different approach to how they handle their channels and how they handle their content.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, like, that's how everyone is, and that's what I try and tell people. I'm like, first off, enjoy it, because you're not going to make a living off this. Again, it is possible, but not for what we do. That's why I don't understand the whole buying the subs thing. It's like, listen, dude, there's only so many of us. Especially if you talk mostly, let's say, G.I. Joe, right? Like, come on, there's only so many of us. If Chris McLeod doesn't have 100,000 subs in the G.I. Joe community, no one does. He's the one that all the news comes through, and the classified for the most part. So, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, so what do you have? So what do you have coming? Do you have anything coming up?
So next week I have Smudge Customs will be my guests on my stream. Which is fun. I like talking to people who do. He's getting into dios, and diorama making and stuff like that. Which I think is fun. I always think it's fun to talk to different people that do dioramas and that do customs and stuff like that, because I like seeing people's different perspectives on how they tackle certain things, painting, or having to how they approach, if they carve bricks or anything like that. So I always think it's fun to get other people's perspectives on things.
Yeah, and again, that's something I've told a lot of people that do customs. I'm like, you need to, you need to, um, you need to do this. Like, show people when you're doing customs. Like, anyone can Dremel out a head, right?
Mhm.
Anyone can Dremel out that head, but most, I don't want to say it, most people aren't gonna do it until they see how it's done first.
Mhm.
And I've told Tony this 100 times. I'm like, listen, I go, you're already doing it. You're already doing it. Go ahead and do it again. Or next time you do it, put it on film.
Mhm.
Make some money from it because you're monetized. It's something that's evergreen, so it's always going to be there. You're paying a new figure. Show it because people are interested in the paints and what you did. We all have the ability to do this. We all just aren't willing to ruin a figure. But if we see it, they might go, hey, I have that Dremel. I know how to do that. I know how to cut. Okay. Oh, he cuts around here. Okay. It makes sense. Right.
Mhm.
Like, that's what I feel like. It's right there for people.
Listen, Tony is stubborn. Oh,
Well, which Tony are you talking about?
which you're talking about Tony's figs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's listen, I love Tony. He's funny. He's an excellent customizer, but he is stubborn. And he loves to argue. So I understand. I understand. I
You
see
think
it on
that?
Circle of Jerks. I understand.
I don't. I talk to him so much, I guess. I don't know. He loves to argue. I know. I don't know. I can see your point of view, though. I can definitely see what you're saying. But I feel like he listens. He just sometimes forgets. So he'll forget things, and then he'll be like, and it's funny. He's always like, my daughter told me to do the exact same thing you did. Like, Dad, why? He said to me, I think yesterday or the day before, he's like, my daughter comes in and I'm customizing, and she's like, why aren't you filming this? She's like, why aren't you filming this? Like, why don't you film it and everyone let people see it? I'm like, I keep telling you. He goes, you guys think the exact same. I'm like, well, I'm just thinking about doing content. Like, you created content that not everyone can do, or not everyone knows how to do, shall I say.
Mhm.
And a lot of people that do that, they don't want to film it, but you're doing YouTube, you're already monetized. Put some out there, and you're doing it anyway. All you gotta do is put the camera in front of you.
Because
And then
it does also help too. I mean,
oh
that's
yeah,
what I've had Jay Gonzo tell me that. He's like, hey, if you're painting something, film that, put it up. Hey, if you're gonna work on a dio, show the process, film it. Because that
and if it
also helps.
ends up being something that you're like, you know what, I just couldn't. You say it didn't turn out good, so I don't want to do it, or I can't find a way to make it work. It's not like the old days where you wasted film.
Mhm.
I do the same thing with pictures. I've said this 100 times. Like, we sit here, even I do it. I'm spending my time. I'm trying to get the right shot. I'm like, it's all digital. I don't have to get the picture developed. I just
You
hit
just
delete
split
if
it.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I still do it, right? I still do the
Mhm.
exact same thing. So I fully understand that. So, but anyway, It's been a little over 2 hours.
Mhm.
Tell everyone where they can find you. I'm gonna let you go. We can talk backstage, but tell everyone where they can find you and what you have coming up.
Sure. So, Punk was kind enough to link my channel in the chat. In
Instagram
terms
is
of,
also. I literally was
uh,
doing Instagram while we were talking. I totally forgot to do it. I'm so bad with that.
so no, you're okay. So usually I would say do the regular action figure Addict 112, but I am mostly using my 112 underscore photography Instagram now, and that is where
Oh,
I'm posting more of my toytography, figure photography, whatever the hell they call it now. The term has changed ever since I got into collecting. I don't know why it's changed, but there's multiple different terms for it. Um, but yeah, you can find my photography over there. I need to encourage myself to go out and take more pictures outside and use the environment outside, like Punk has right there in the background with the dragonfly. And no, it's true though. You don't realize, you could be taking a walk outside. I mean, Tony Legend series has said it so many times that you could just be in the park taking a walk and you could see an area of woods and go, hey, I could take my 60th anniversary sniper and I could take her out there and take a couple of shots, for walking through the woods with her gear, or she looks like she's patrolling the area. Um, so yeah, I need to start challenging myself more for that. But there's that, and then Monday, I will have Smudge Customs on, and we're gonna talk about Comic Con and all the wonderful things that we're gonna possibly buy between now and next year, because they've shown too much. It's too much. It's a lot. It's probably all gonna come at once when you least expect it, because that's how it's been. It's been like that with Classified. Maybe not with Jada, because Jada slow rolls their releases, which is good. I know people get bitchy and they complain that, oh, we can't complete the Street Fighter figures because they only do this many per wave. And I would rather have the joy of being able to complete all the Street Fighter characters over time instead of all at once. But that's just me.
um, people are gonna bitch whether they can complete it or they can't. No matter what, it's the GI Joe community is awful, especially right now.
Yes.
And I got to
Everyone
say,
and their
the circle of jerks, man, they are living up to their name, jerks. Just so you guys know, there's myself, Tony, Spec, Terry, and Baldy, and I'm the fourth biggest. I'm the fourth worst asshole on there. There are three people that are way above me, and I don't even think it's a competition. And that's pretty bad because I'm normally the top dog when it comes to that. Dude, I don't even think I'm close. um, Matthew says completing Street Fighter is a goal. Silver Cammy looks cool, but I need Akuma, Honda, and a Zangief.
So everyone that's been collecting the Street Fighter, we're very close. There are only five. There's only five left. There's Zangief, there's Akuma, E Honda, Balrog, and T-Hawk. Those are the final
But I think they
five that
showed
they
them
need to
all, didn't
release.
they?
They did. They were in the case last year at Comic-Con. And they also had DJ Cammy and Guile in there. and that was the wave that came out last year. So now all we need is just those 5. But what's the weird thing is there's 5, and usually they release it in waves of 3. So are they considering in Balrog a deluxe figure? Are they considering T-Hawk a deluxe figure because they're bigger characters? I don't know how they're gonna do that over the.
Well, they could always throw in a player 2.
That's true. I guess maybe that's what the Cami is for.
Yeah.
Oh
and I have
no,
a
they said
feeling-
that was an Entertainment Earth exclusive, that Cami. So
Oh, I didn't even see that. What's the new Cammy?
so it's the Cami that they previously released, but she's in her player 2 colors where her hat is pink, her gauntlets are pink.
Okay.
The camo paint on her thighs are like a metallic, and her costume is like a metallic color.
Yeah, and Matthew says T-Hawk, Honda, and Zangief are massive. And I know Honda and Zangief are. I don't know anything about T-Hawk, so. Viper Scout says, got my Rattler today. Holy hell, it's huge. Pictures and reviews doesn't do it. What were we talking about before we went live?
Funny thing you mentioned the Rattler and the size of the
Viper
Rattler.
Scout, I'm with you 100% because I just did my review, or I recorded it. I recorded it right before I literally got home, and I went into it, and I'm just like, all right, well, let me get this all done so I can push it out because I wanted to open it. Like, I've been waiting long enough. The thing is, it's big. It's anyone that wants a Sky Striker, you can fuck off. All right. Anyone that has room for a Sky Striker can fuck off. All right. How about that?
I remember people were talking about that they wanted a classified series MCC. And I was like, where are you going to put that? Do you realize what the size of an MCC would have to be to fit a classified series figure? And what the price of that would be for an MCC?
So there's a few that, again, I mentioned the Whale, but the Whale holds so many figures that it literally becomes a display. Right? I mean, the Rattler holds 2 figures. All right. I'm looking at the Snowcat. I'm like, look at all the figures it actually holds. But the Whale becomes a major display piece. The tactical battle platform is literally a table. Like, okay, here's a table that has all the stuff in it that you can pose stuff. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then my idea for the Terradrome was you do a half-slab Terradrome. It's one half of it. So you can push it against the wall, right?
And it looks like it's...
But if you buy 2 of them, they connect together. But on each of them, no matter what, each one you get a fire bat. So if you buy 2 of them to make an actual Terradrome because you have the space, then you get 2 fire bats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an actual great idea. I came up with it. But again, if you're able to put it against the wall and, you give it a backdrop, so it looks like it's there. Like, people would be like, okay, that's cool. I can have just a table. I can push it up against the wall, and it's really not taking up space. It's not in the middle of a room that I don't have. Like, that's the biggest issue, in my opinion, when it comes to the Cat Slayer. You want to see it from all sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that thing is massive. And that's another one that doesn't, like, if you don't see it in person, it doesn't do it justice. Have you seen the Cat Slayer?
I've seen pictures of it.
You haven't seen it in person?
No.
That is another one that pictures don't do it justice. When I saw that thing, I went, holy shit, is that thing big?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't buying it, so I don't care how big it is. The super musk is really big, like really big. But once again, that's a display. That's a dial.
Mhm.
You know, it's not. Again, the Rattler is cool. The Rattler has 2 figures. The Dragonfly, same thing. But I feel like the Dragonfly doesn't take up nearly as much space because it doesn't have the wings. So, Darren
And
says,
it sits at an angle, right? Whenever you put it on the display base.
"What, the Dragonfly?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
sits at
either,
an angle.
yeah. Which I'm glad they modified that with this. This doesn't have to be on an angle; it can be straight. Nolan says Terradrome would be awesome. Now that's a dream project. Yeah, and I get that, but again, that's one of those. This thing be so fucking big. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much. Tell everyone where they can find you before we do leave. I know we kind of mentioned it earlier. The links are in the description, but
So yeah, Punk was kind enough again to put the link to my channel in the description. You don't have to check it out, but if you want to, you can.
you have
You
to check
shouldn't
it
feel obligated. No, you shouldn't feel obligated.
out.
But
Yes,
if you
should.
want to, you can. And then 112 Photography is the Instagram that I've been posting on more. And that's pretty much that's it. Just 2 social medias. I don't have.
We got to work on
I
your
have a whole bunch of.
assertiveness. We got to work on that. You should be
Assertiveness.
like, listen. All right. In the description.
Listen, I know I can't technically my generation is the social media generation where they need the TikToks and the Instagram, the this and that, and blah blah blah. I'm okay with just one Instagram. I'm okay with the YouTube. That's it. I don't need the TikTok. I don't need the this and that. So I'm good. I'm good. That's all my plugging that I have.
Go check it out.
And 3-star almost bought a cat slayer. He offered a really good deal to buy a cat slayer yesterday.
Well, he said he got offered. He said he didn't come close. He's already complaining about not having space, and yet here he is. Anyway, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. It is nice to talk to the younger generation, hear how you got into it, what you're collecting, because it is very odd to see someone in their mid-20s that is collecting the same stuff that we are. There was one kid at Joe Fest that's like 13 years old. I believe he's actually popped in before, and no one realized how young he was, because he knew who I was. And it's crazy. We were like, wow, like there are a young generation that is into these stupid toys.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on here. This is a pleasure to sit down and talk to you and be interviewed. No one ever reaches out to interview me. And I was very honored that someone reached out to me and wanted to interview me and wanted to hear my story and ask me questions. And yeah, it is really interesting whenever you go to conventions and you meet a lot of the people that you see on YouTube, and then they see you in person and they don't actually take into the fact that, yeah, I am younger than a majority of everyone on here, and that, yeah, I do collect almost the same thing that everyone does. Everyone's always surprised about my knowledge of what I do know. I mean, obviously I don't know everything about G.I. Joe, but everything else, even music, people are surprised that my knowledge of music that was 40-50 years before me. But
you're making us feel old.
No, don't feel old. Listen, age
I
is
woke
but a
up feeling
number.
old.
Age is but a number.
Okay, so
But I also consider it that you guys have more life experience than me, which is also something to consider.
Age is nothing but a number, something young people say.
But you also have a lot of life experience, so you
I know. I have a lot of pain too. a lot of creaks and cracks when you're just waking up. Like, how did my neck get sore? I slept. That's a true story right now, too. So anyway, thank you very much, Kyle. I definitely did enjoy it. I appreciate anyone that reaches out. But, you know, to say what you said about like no one asking you, again, I feel like there's too many of the bigger YouTubers that just want to continue to ask the same people over and over and over and over to come on. And how does the community grow if we don't bring on new people and get to know who they are? So thank you for joining me. Again, we learned a lot about you that people didn't know. Like, you worked in a nursing home, and I think people got to see my trauma from working in a nursing. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone. We will see you soon, probably Monday, because you know where I'm at. So everyone, take care and have a wonderful night.